My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of the 2015 movie Fantastic Four, also known as Fantastic. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But everybody hates this movie. In fact, it is universally agreed to be one of the worst comic book movies ever made. And I'm sorry, but that is pure nonsense. Like, if you don't like this movie, fine, whatever. But to call it one of the worst comic book movies ever, nah, that's bullshit. Um, I actually like this movie, and I think it is one of the most overhated movies ever. So let's begin by talking about the cast. And I like Miles Teller in this movie. I thought he brought a fresh new take to Reed Richards, and he carries this movie incredibly well. Michael B. Jordan brought plenty of personality to his character, and he really stands out. Kate Mara as Sue Storm, I thought was charming and likable, and I liked what she brought to this character. Jamie Bell does a very good job. Toby Kebbell is pretty decent. I do wish he was given better material. Reg E. Cathy could have been a forgettable side character, but he actually makes this guy stand out, and I liked his character quite a bit. And Tim Blake Nelson does a pretty decent job. So I actually like the cast, and I like the story being told. Like Reed Richards and Ben being friends as kids, trying to make this project, and then they eventually get noticed and they work together with a team to make this teleportation device. And then things go terribly wrong and they end up getting powers as a side effect. And Reed escapes and goes into hiding, which creates some resentment with the rest of the team. And then they have to come back together to take on Doom. Like, on paper, I love all of that. In execution, it's decent. It's decent. I do think it's a fresh origin story for these characters. It doesn't feel redundant of the other movies. And I would say for the first 55 minutes, I actually kind of love this movie. Like, it starts off incredibly well. I thought it was engaging. I liked these characters. And that scene when they come back and Reed is just crawling on the ground and he realizes he can now stretch is kind of a creepy, effective moment. Like, it kind of felt like a horror movie for just a couple minutes there. And then we get to the last 30, 40 minutes or whatever, and it's still entertaining, but it's undeniably a rushed disaster. Like, Reed being in hiding should have been explored more. Doom and everything he's trying to do should have had more time to it. And it just kind of ends up falling apart a little bit, but the movie is never unwatchable. The movie is never a complete disaster. It's just, it starts off lots of potential and it doesn't live up to it by the end. And I do think this movie has an issue where the villain, Doom, ends up being way too powerful to the point where he's kind of boring. Like, the electric powers are cool, but here he can make people blow up just by concentrating. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why didn't he do that in the final fight? And then he has these god-like abilities, and I don't know, I just wanted more of him and a better understanding of who he is and what he's trying to do, and I feel like the movie failed in that regard. This movie also has some really cringy dialogue. There's a scene where Reed is talking to Sue, and he's like, "You adopted?" "Oh yeah, I know what that's like." And she's like, "Oh, you're adopted too?" And he's like, "Well, no." And I'm like, "What? What are you saying here?" And then the last line of the movie, "Oh, this is fantastic." Wait, say that again. Like, it's funny, but it's still so cringy at the same time. I actually do like the direction of Josh Trank here. I definitely see a vision in what he's trying to do, and I really like the aesthetic of this movie. The CGI is quite good, and the Thing's character design is fucking awesome. It really is. And I also just think this is a very easy watch. It's like 95 minutes, and it's fast paced, and it's a very entertaining movie. So, like, look, it definitely has issues. The last bit isn't as good as the movie needed it to be, but it's still entertaining, and the first 55 minutes, like I said, I think is pretty great. There's some great moments here. I like the story. I like this fresh take on these characters. And it's not a perfect movie. I just think it's far, far better than people make it out to be. I think it's one of those movies that people find easy to hate. And I don't know. I think it's actually a pretty ambitious first movie, and I would have liked to get a sequel. So I'm giving Fant4stic a 6 out of 10. Okay, what are your thoughts on Fant4stic? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin